In this lesson, we're going to do the last big feature of this application, and that's showing off the actual tweet. And for this one, we're going to be doing something special. We're going to use a stream. Whenever someone adds a new tweet to our database, it'll get automatically reflected on our screen. Now, we've done that within our app with the state changes. So whenever we go and change our name to something, you'll see it's automatically reflected throughout our application, everywhere here. Now, you could do something very similar with a database by just streaming that information instead of just calling it and retrieving it. So a stream, like it sounds, sets up a stream where you tell the database you're going to be wanting this information. The database makes a note, and every time something changes, it tells our application that something changed. So for this, we're going to be using something called a stream provider. We're going to call this stream provider feed provider. We're going to call it feed provider because it's going to give us our Twitter feed. And it's going to be a stream provider. Stream provider has this auto dispose function that we could call. This basically, whenever we stop using it, it disposes of it and is no longer taking up resources. What we're going to want from the stream provider is a list of tweets. To get those tweets, we're going to go to Firestore. We're just going to create an instance in the same line. We're going to get the collection of tweets. We're going to order them by that post time that we had. And we're going to want that to be descending, so the newest always comes at the top. And in order to get a stream, you use something called snapshots. So we hover over snapshots. It says notifies of query results at this location. So you get notified of any changes with this tweets collection. Now we want it to not return snapshots because this returns a query snapshot map string dynamic. We want it to return a list of tweets instead. So we're going to map it to that. And I personally like to write it all out. So we want a list of tweets, which we'll call tweets. And at the end, we want to return those tweets. What I want to do in the middle is some data manipulation. So we're going to do a for loop. We're going to iterate through that for loop until we get to the event.docs.length. So we get to the end of that length of documents. And we're going to iterate through that loop. And every time we go through each iteration, through every tweet in there, we want to add that tweet into our tweets list. So we do tweets.add a tweet from our conveniently created from map function. Go through the docs at that specific iteration, and we get the data from that. So this is our stream of the feed. Basically a live notification of whenever tweets come in, and just using this tweet provider, we can see all the tweets. So if we go to home, we can finally remove these random texts. And actually we can remove this column as well because our whole body is just going to be the tweets. So we want to watch for changes in our feed provider. And this is why we like to use Riverpod, because when we do .when, we get all these data fields that we have to fill in or else our app won't work. So the loading state is pretty straightforward. We're going to return a circular progress indicator. We're just going to spin the screen until we get that data. If there's an error, we're just going to return some text, a center with some text that says error. And then the main one is our data. So this gives us a list of tweets. I'll call it tweets. And then within here, list of type tweet, not tweets. We want to import our model actually here so we could use it. That's why we define models, just because it makes everything so much easier to use. we will use a list view .builder here. So a list view .builder iterates through everything within that list, and we can build out a list tile for each item within that list of tweets. And you actually have to define the length. So item count is going to be tweets.length. So however many tweets we have in this, we're going to build out this many list tiles or whatever you put within the item builder. So let's just start with the actual tweet, which we'll put in the subtitle. It's going to be a text. We're going to go to tweets, at this count, and tweet. And we should see when we refresh, we have an error. We need to return the list tile. We should see the first tweet right there. Now, if we go in and add another tweet, we'll say my second tweet, we'll post it, it pops up right there. Beautiful. Just a little gray color here. Let's update that to be a little darker. And let's make it a little bit bigger, font size 16. Okay, there we go. There's our tweets. So we have the tweet, but let's add in the person's name that wrote the tweet. Tweets, count, name. Save it. There you can see which person tweeted what. And let's also give it some style, text style, font weight, make it bold. There we go. So now we can differentiate the name from the tweet. And lastly, let's add a circle avatar so we can see the profile picture of that person tweeting. It's stored in the same location, tweets.count, profile picture. And there we go. We have a working Twitter application.